anytime you start something new, you're always worried, and sorry, anytime you start something new and you put it on the internet, you're always worried that it's going to offend somebody or rub somebody the wrong way. And I just want to say, this is my journey for normalizing something in my life that should be okay to talk about, but I feel isn't. So I'm going to do my best to do justice for this kind of idea that I came up with. I'm going to do my best to do justice for myself. So if you are easily offended, or if you have a hard time distinguishing how I'm even drawing the connection between the two, then this channel probably isn't for you. As much as I would love to say, hey, this place is somewhere for everybody, if you can't be open and willing to try unconventional things, then maybe click off now. I appreciate the fact that you clicked on here to begin with, but unfortunately sometimes things just aren't for everybody. So saying that, what is this project? I'm calling this the Project Panning My Mental Health, and essentially it's my attempt at bringing something that feels like I'm not allowed to talk about it, feels like I have to keep it to myself, and pairing it with something that I talk about freely, that I share with everybody, and trying to make it so the one becomes as normal as the other. So that's the big connection. What I'm doing is I'm picking products that half-assedly represent things that I'm feeling, or maybe they spark certain feelings in me. Some of them, it's the name of the product that is where the connection is. And essentially, by picking these products and sharing with you what I'm going through, I hope that as I work through these products, I can also work at making this something normal. That is my big goal. So saying that, you're probably wondering, well, how the hell are you putting these two together? Well, let's start the story off at the very beginning. The first domino is what I'm going to call it. And that is anxiety. And just to put the quirkiness out there at the very beginning of this, woo, in Project Panning sense, this is what anxiety looks like for me. So anxiety is something that I've struggled with ever since I was little. And the only reason I really remember that, or I know that, is because I have a history with counseling when I was younger. I have a history of getting into trouble and doing things I shouldn't, feeling things I shouldn't, saying things I shouldn't. And a lot of you are probably like, we all did that. We all did stupid shit when we were little. I'm gonna say it right now because that just popped into my head. I'm not gonna apologize for my language in this video. I know I'm gonna let a few things slip. I'm gonna try and do my best to not, but Grandma, if you are watching this, I love you. And you are the only person that I am worried about offending in this video with my language. So I am sorry, Grandma. I love you. But back to it. So yes, we all did stupid things when we were little, but the problem is that there's a normal expectancy of things that we do when we're younger, and sometimes when those things become too predominant, they become too regular, or maybe you start doing things without even realizing it, that's when some things start to become a problem. So that's how I know that anxiety was a part of my past. And anxiety is still a part of my current situation as well, and it is going to be in my future for a while too. Hell, it may be a part of my life. But saying that, it's not something that if you have, that you should feel that you have to be quiet about. It's something that we should be able to speak freely about. We should be able to seek help without having to feel embarrassed or having to feel uncomfortable. And yes, that starts with us. That starts with us who have it. And then it transitions into people having to be open and understanding about it. So be the change you want to see, and I want mental health to be something that is normal. I don't want to have to feel like my eyes are tearing up right now and I regretted putting mascara on for this. I don't want to have this croak in my throat that I feel like I have as I'm talking to you about it now. It should be something that we should be okay with talking about it like it's normal. So saying that, in this journey of exploring anxiety, I'm going to be panning my Tarte Tarteist clay paint liner, and the reason I picked this is because I was saying earlier, it's normal to experience things but it's all about how regular, how it affects you that really dictates whether it's normal or not. So the anxiety I feel of looking at this is normal. It's okay to look at something that you're uncomfortable using and have a little bit of anxiety for it. It's normal. But this is a product that does spark a bit of anxiety in me because it's clay paint liner. For those of you who are good at liner, I commend you, that's awesome. But for the rest of you who aren't, you know that eyeliner is a little bit of uncomfortable for some of us. As we go through these videos and as I do check-ins, I'm hoping to be able to explain the situation more, to explain certain things that have happened, and to just put it out there, talk through it, and make it so it doesn't feel so taboo to me. So right now things might just be surface level, but in the future it could get a little bit deep, and I promise to try and warn anybody ahead of time if something is about to get a little bit deep. So for now, everything's probably just going to be surface level. But something that usually kind of goes hand in hand with anxiety is depression. And they say, you know, if you have depression, you're more likely going to experience anxiety. And if you have anxiety, you're more likely going to experience depression. And again, looking back into my childhood, depression is something that I've also have had experiences with for quite a long time, especially extending back into being the same kind of time period. Actually, they kind of both went hand in hand for me. I was bullied a lot through school. My last name rhymes with the word fat, so yay for that. That was a bunch of rhyming in one sentence. That was not intended, but essentially it felt like life dealt me a bunch of cards that just was like, you want to be a perfect target? There you are. So there was a lot of things that went on that I got really depressed about. I resorted to some stupid things. We're going to kind of touch on that later too. But depression is something I've also dealt with for quite a long time. And again, I think it's normal to have depressing periods in your life, but it depends how frequently they happen, how severely they are, what the severity of it is that kind of whether it's normal or not normal. Life can be hard, and we should be able to work through it. And I think it's got to be normalized to talk about these things, because if something is affecting you to the point that it is dictated as not normal, we shouldn't be shy about it. We shouldn't feel afraid or uncomfortable to ask for help. Just like if you fall down and break your arm, you're not going to be like, oh, I'm embarrassed about breaking my arm. It should be the same as I'm going through a really rough period and I feel severely depressed. I should not feel afraid to ask for help. It should be the same level of openness. And to go with depression is, this one feels the weirdest to talk about. Actually, there's one later that feels even weirder. But for now, the Briogeo Roscaro Heat Protecting Cream. And the reason this one kind of hits on depression for me is because not only does this remind me of something that still makes me sad, which is the fact that I cut off all my hair, but I cut off my hair for not the right reasons. I told everybody that it was for the right reasons and it wasn't. So I will touch on that actually in a little bit, because actually no, it's the next product that I'm going to touch on. But essentially this sparks really negative feelings of regret, sadness, unhappiness, and just all around, yeah, regret is the big one. But it does make me sad, because every time I see this, it reminds me of my hair. And yes, my hair is growing. Yes, my hair is going to continue to grow, but it's not just the fact that I cut it off, but the reason kind of behind it that I cut it off too. So moving into that, my depression kind of spiraled me into having negative impulses. And I'm going to touch on two really quickly. And the first one is the fact that, yes, it's normal for a lot of people who do have hair, so almost all of us, that you're kind of like, I just wish I could just cut it all off. I'm having such a hard day. I can't manage it. Or you know what? Maybe you're having a perfect hair day and you're just in a really bad place at the moment and you take it out on it. Like, oh, it doesn't sit the way I want it to. I just want to cut it all off. Like, I'm assuming that we've all probably had those moments in our life. But there was a lot of other things that were going on, and it got to the point that I was just like, I can't effing deal with this. I have too many other things to deal with right now, and I cut it all off. At the time, it felt like what I needed to do. I was like, you know what? It's a new start. It's gonna grow out kind of like its natural color. It's almost like I'm starting over. Like the way I explained it to myself to justify it felt normal, but I didn't cut it off because I wanted to. I didn't cut it off because I actually wanted to have short hair. I cut it off because I didn't know what else to freaking do with it at the time, and I just had enough. And I guess in a way, I was also hoping that somebody would be like, hey, what the hell? And not for the fact that my hair was short, but being like, that's not you. And there was a couple of people who kind of picked up on it, but not to the point that we really talked about it. But yeah, that was one of my negative impulses. The other one is I started drinking more often than someone normally should. So it would be a Wednesday afternoon or even early afternoon, and I would start drinking. And part of it had to do with the fact that when I was drinking, I felt like it was easier for me to say things and to do things that I wouldn't normally do, which started off great. When you feel like you just want to say something and you're like, hell, like, why is this so hard to talk about it? It made it easy to do it. And that's the problem, is that I shouldn't say it's a problem. It should be easy to talk about things, but that's the problem here, is that you start relying on something to help you through those periods of time, and you feel like you have control over it until the point that you realize you don't, that you start doing something because you're feeling anxious and your mind just instantly brings you to, I need to have a drink, which shouldn't be like that. Crap, I lost my train of thought. What was I gonna say? I can happily say that drinking for me never got to the point that it ruined relationships. It ruined, or it interfered with my work per se, but there were some things that started clicking with me, realizing that this is not a normal rate. This is not a healthy way of expressing something. So luckily for me, I was able to realize it's not something that I should be doing, and I was able to pull back from it. Now, saying that, I got into a spiral that I would start relying on it, and I would rely on it to the point that I'd be like, oh crap, we're at that level again, that this isn't good, and I would stop and I'd do something else. And then I would come back to it. So like in a course of a month, I would kind of go through a spiral, and then the next month we would do it all over again. And that's when I realized it was not normal and it was unhealthy. And the thing that I'm kind of tying to this is Lush's scent Ponche. This is described as a tropical fruit scent with tequila. So normalizing alcohol, which I don't think, looking at it now, I think I'm being sensitive, but I don't think it should be that blatant out there, like, oh yeah, with tequila, have fun with it. What does the next line say? The perfect fragrance for a fiesta. Like, tequila is normal, it's part of your Saturday night. Like, no, I don't think I don't think that should be advertised. This is a completely different ramble. Anyways, we're not talking about that. That's the connection there with that product. Moving on. Next is when you start relying on your negative impulses and it's not getting you to where you want to, or it gets you to your point and then you kind of fall back again. You start kind of feeling hopeless because what you started relying on to get you through something is not getting you through it. Hopelessness also for me happened in a lot of other instances. I had a really negative run-in with somebody in a public place one time. Actually, one happened today, and luckily I was in a better place that I was able to deal with it a lot better. One happened May last year, and there was another time at the dog park, which is my safe place. But needless to say, shit happens in places that you least expect it, and people can pull the worst from you, and it pulled me into a negative spiral, having to interact with these people, and that even left me feeling hopeless. Having to deal with ignorant people being like, if this is what I have to look forward to on a day-to-day basis, then what the fuck? Or relying on drinking to the point that it doesn't get you to where you need, and then just one day you're like, you know what, if this is the cycle that I'm going in, what's the point of continuing it? And it kind of, hopelessness kind of hits you in different places. It hits you at different times, and I don't think it's something that anyone should ever have to get to that point, but unfortunately it does happen. It's all about where you really go from there that really matters. But to me, to hit on the project panning that has to do with hopelessness is my OPI nail polish. This is Comet in the Sky. I really love this color, or at least in the bottle, I really like the look of this color. It's just your standard typical sparkle afterwards. So that's kind of deceiving, but whatever. And the whole reason this kind of resembles hopelessness in a product to me is because the only time I've ever seen anybody ever finish a nail polish is in videos on the internet. I've never seen anybody in real life finish a polish. So I'm like, this is never gonna happen. If you ever want to feel hopeless when it comes to project panning, try and pan a nail polish. That's how I feel. So again, yes, a silly connection, but trying to bring some normalcy that, yeah, I feel like that from time to time. But moving on, this one is going to get a little bit more serious, and as you can kind of see, like, we're kind of spiraling with some of this, so each one is slowly getting worse and worse and worse. So when you deal with hopelessness regularly and you keep feeling it and you keep feeling it, eventually it leads you sometimes to certain thoughts or certain actions that I don't think anybody should ever that anybody should ever have to get to, and that is the idea of not being here. I can't say it. The journey of self-discovery is not an easy thing, as you can clearly see. Even trying to bring something as lighthearted as panning into it to try and make it normal, it still does not make this easy. But essentially, the next topic we are focusing on are suicidal thoughts. So sometimes when you get to the point of feeling hopeless, there are thoughts that start coming into your head of, why am I here? It would be better if I wasn't here, or maybe I don't want to be here because I don't want to deal with this. And it makes me sad to know that there are other people out there who also feel this way and are more severe. They feel it more severe than I do, because I know how much this hurts me right now. So that is definitely not something that somebody should ever have to go through. I think I need a second. Or to bring the lightheartedness back into this, maybe panning is here because it's supposed to help kind of lighten the mood when things get a little bit tough. But I guess something in my collection that I wish was no longer here, but yet it's still here, is my It Cosmetics Superhero Mascara. And this was the one earlier that I was saying feels really silly to be tying mental health with products. Because it's like my suicidal thoughts and mascara. But like I said, we're trying to make this normal, and it should be something that if you are feeling like this, it shouldn't have to get to a certain point in order to talk to somebody. And even worse, it shouldn't have to be acted upon in order to get help. Okay, trying to bring the light at the end of the tunnel into this now, and that is asking for help. Essentially, I don't think I need to explain this one too much, but sometimes asking for help can feel pointless. It can feel like it's not going to even do anything, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I know it's only easy to look at that when you're in the right state of mind. Or maybe after you've had a chance to kind of come down a little bit from a wrong state of mind. So just getting through this one quickly, because I feel for now it's a little bit self-explanatory, is the Incredible You Glow Girl. And the reason I picked this is because it doesn't look like much. Like, it just looks like a pot of white jelly with a little bit of a glow to it. But if you look a little bit closer, I doubt this is gonna show up on camera, but essentially if you look a little bit closer, there's this really beautiful indigo sparkle to it. And to me, that's kind of, yeah, oh maybe. To me, that's kind of representing that at first it might seem like nothing, but there is something there. There's something beautiful and hopeful underneath it all. So yeah, I said I was going to touch on it quick, and I feel like I'm just lost in thought now, losing my train of thought too. But moving on to that. So you're getting the story from start to finish, in very minimal form. And so essentially after asking for help, it's weird because I wasn't fully diagnosed with something. And the way it was explained to me is that even if you have a mental disorder, you might not be 100% picture perfect example of that. Or if you are suffering from a certain mental disorder, it doesn't mean that you're not suffering from something else as well. So they said, we're not going to label you as somebody who has a borderline personality disorder, but you definitely do fit into the category of somebody who does have characteristics of somebody with a borderline personality disorder. So saying that is, it's like you're diagnosed with it without being fully labeled as that. So you suffer from characteristics of a borderline personality disorder with anxiety, with depression, with insomnia. Like there's multiple things that make up what is actually going on with you. So it's not, you are not this disorder, but you do have characteristics of this disorder and kind of fall into that category of how you're going to be treated. And when I say treated, I mean from a medical aspect. So yeah, that's what happened. And what a borderline personality disorder is essentially we all have traits and characteristics, and sometimes some of them are stronger than others, and that is normal. But when it becomes not normal is when a certain trait or maybe a certain couple of traits become so dominant in your life that it stops you from functioning normally. And to put this in a way that maybe be easier for some people to understand, it's kind of like narcissism. So you can be narcissistic to a point and it's still okay, but when you become like full-on narcissistic, that it's the main characteristic that kind of dominates your life, it's no longer really normal. So it's kind of like how it is with what I'm going through per se, that anxiety is normal. Anxiety is normal to a certain point, to a certain degree, but when it starts affecting your life, when it starts kind of taking over different qualities, when it stops you from doing your daily living, that's when it becomes a problem. And so my biggest thing is that my anxiety is affecting who I am. And saying that, tying it back into this project pan, I have the Huda Beauty lip strobe in Enchanting, and the reason I picked this one, I hate lip glosses to begin with, but not touching on that right now. In the tube, this looks like a nice kind of pearly strobing lip gloss, but when you put it on, there's micro pink reflex in here that cause this to go from that nice kind of pearly color that you think it is to a peachy color. And again, I'm not sure how much you'll be able to see, but that's why I picked this one, is because the pinky peachy color in here dominates the product, but you don't see it at first. So I thought that was, I felt a little clever putting that one together. But anyways, we're gonna kind of wrap the products of this series up and kind of bring you to where we are now. Memory card filled, camera overheated. Let's just jump back into it. So luckily it ended at a convenient spot. I was saying that we were going to pick things back up of kind of where we are today. And I wanted to throw these last little bits in here because this journey as a whole, there are people that I wish I could just yell out their names because I want them to know what they mean to me and how appreciative I am of them, but for privacy reasons we're just gonna keep everything vague. So first off, this seems silly, but I just want to throw it out there that I have a great support system. I know not everybody is lucky enough to say that, and I have listed a few things in the description bar below that if you need someone to talk to, I have put the Canadian hotline. I think I put the American, or a link to American hotlines, as well as links to international hotlines, because we all need to be taken care of, so it shouldn't matter where you live. I hope there's a link there for you, and if there's not, please let me know and I will try and find one for you. But saying that, jumping back into my support system. So I first just want to put it out there that I have a great family doctor. I had an appointment for 10 minutes to kind of check up on how things were going, and he sat there for an hour and a half while I basically cried and didn't really say much. So for someone, and I'm very sorry because I know there's probably somebody like watching this now being like, you're the reason that my appointment is 2 hours late. That was me. That was me that day. I was the reason that everybody was pushed back God knows how long. And I said I wasn't going to apologize, but I will apologize for that. I know we all do not appreciate having our appointments run late. So I am sorry that I was that person, but I'm going to say that I needed it. So sorry that I inconvenienced your day, but I'm not sorry that I did it. Sorry for the inconvenience, but not for the fact that it happened. Anyways, so shout out to him, that first person that I just kind of want to throw out there for thanks, for the first psychologist that I ever talked to who didn't say you feel like the world's out to get you, for someone who actually apparently listened differently than everybody else did, and saying that, okay, it's not that you just feel paranoid or like everybody's out to get you, or so redundant here, but for someone to actually listen and to pay attention to what was actually going on and not just what they thought was going on. So thank you to him as well. But getting to the actual support in my life, I'm very lucky to have the best significant other someone can have. I was ready to fall apart. I have done things I wish I haven't done. I felt things I wish I haven't felt. And he is the most non-judgmental, open, caring person that every time I even apologize for the crap that has gone on, he just like, stop it. Like, there's no need to be sorry for all the inconvenience that I've caused, for all the whack of doctor's appointments and hospital appointments that I have made him go to. He's the best. And I know he's going to watch this because I always make him watch my videos. So thank you. I love you. You really are the best. And to my best friend who lives here, who I didn't even realize some of the things that were going on with her because I was too busy falling apart myself. But unfortunately, she's gone through some similar feelings that I have gone through, and I'm happy to say that she's also reached out and gotten help. And, you know, maybe we're not where we want to be, but I'm happy that she's doing better, and I'm also happy that she's here to listen and to help me. And I wish that we weren't going through things around the same time, that I could have been there for you more than I was. So sorry and thank you. I love you too. And to that dinging that's going off right now, I know is somebody else who doesn't live close to me, lives quite far away from me, and she's been very helpful the last couple of days. She was one of the people who noticed my absence from things. She was one of those people that noticed my silence, and it's saddening and heartwarming at the same time. So thank you to her. I love you too. And to represent the support system in this project panning, it does say Smashbox Primer Water, but that's not what this is. This is actually Max Fix Plus in Rose. My pump broke on that one, so when this emptied initially, I poured it into here for convenience sake. But it's supposed to signify the thing that keeps your shit together for you. So essentially you spray it on after you finish your makeup to hold everything in place. And I kind of feel that's why we have people in our life, is to help us stay together and help us get through something. So this one I thought was kind of silly, and again, kind of, I like to think it was slightly clever too. So yeah. But moving on, the biggest thing, I guess, one thing that's going to be coming up for me is I'm going to be taking a part in self-awareness classes, and essentially the big goal about it is to figure out what has happened in your life that has gotten you to this point. So basically cleaning out the closet and getting to the core of what happened, like what led you down this road. And in that, to learn how to appreciate where we came from and where it's gotten us. I have an amazing dog. I have great friends. I have, like I said, the best significant other. And you know what, as shitty as things may have been, and as much as I probably wish certain things didn't happen and then I could still change things to this day, you just gotta accept the fact and appreciate where you are. So my last product that I have in this project pan is a self-love product, and essentially take care of yourself is the concept of this. And this is just a face mask. This is Farmhouse Fresh Avocado Guac Star mask. But essentially the whole point is just to remember to take care of yourself. That's the big thing. So do what you need to do, but remember too that if you're feeling that you're not doing things in a healthy way, or if you're feeling that you might be on the wrong track when it comes to taking care of yourself, reach out. Just do it. I know that's 100% easier said than done, because the point that I let myself get to before I asked for help was insane, or at least for me personally it felt insane. So just be kind to yourself and take care of yourself. I don't know how else to say it. That is wow. That is all the products I have in this project, and essentially I don't expect anyone to join me in on this, but I will put it out there that hell, if you want to try this, even if you only do it for so long, feel free to join in. The guidelines are pretty open, because all of our stories are different, so your reasoning behind your products are going to be different. Your products are going to represent different things. Even if you just don't want to do it on camera or share it, to just kind of do it for yourself, feel free to go ahead. I'll leave some ideas and some kind of loose guidelines down below if you want to join in. But yeah, if you just want to stick here with my journey, that's great. If this is the last video of this series that you see, well, thanks for even getting to this point. So I don't really know what else to say at this point. I guess this is just the beginning, as scary as that feels. Anytime you put something on the internet is super scary, but when it's personal as well, it makes it nerve-wracking. So yeah, that's where I'm going to end this, because I feel like I'm just going to ramble at this point, because that's what I do when I get nervous. So thank you for getting to this point. Know that this is just the beginning, and I hope you can understand my unconventional, quirky approach to what I'm doing, but sometimes you need to try different things when everything else you've tried hasn't worked before. So yeah, thank you for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one, and yeah, we'll share a little bit more next time. So that's it. I love you guys. Bye.